Okay, another night, another update. I am going to do the front today. I had a chance to clean up this area here, and you can see it's pretty eroded there. This is where the screws come through from the fixing point for the front strut. What do you call it? The forestay. So pretty eaten away. I'm going to fill that with some epoxy and alright, time to get epoxying. Okay, here we go. Another coat. Another part of the boat. I've filled these holes here with epoxy and sawdust or wood flour, and sort of filled a few cracks along the edge here with the remainder just to do something with it all there. So I should probably push in a little bit further now that I see it with the camera. And if we come to the back to see the job done last night, my only hesitation is when using these strips that have been cut off a broader one, you get a bit of a raw edge here. I figure I can sand that, but actually I've ordered, because I'm going to run out of epoxy, I've ordered a litre of epoxy and some more of the fairing bubbles, whatever you call them, the talc, to mix with epoxy, and I can probably sort of sand and then smooth those over. I don't know, because they kind of come up as little things that'll give you splinters and that sort of stuff. I'm not sure whether I should have just invested in the proper tape, but I wanted to use the epoxy I had, sorry, the fiberglass matting I had. Okay, let's leave that to dry. Okay, another update after a couple of late nights. So I've managed to glue on the updated or replaced little front thing here. I've put a longer eye bolt on there so I can get more bite through the back, and I'll cut that short. Those are $6 from Bunnings, so pretty cheap. The sides have gone on, these side tapes here, and I've sort of flattened down this, ready to take the skeg, but basically I need to do the tape across the middle first. So I've done 1 metre of that. I've decided to go a little wider on this, as that's going to protect, when you come in and hit the ground as you're bound to do, coming into shore and that sort of thing. I've also put a slightly lighter tape around the centerboard case here, plus bits on the end there, so that should have that completely sealed. And I'm thinking that I then sort of run this one over the top again, and then I'll cut out the hole. So that will be like extra strong, as it's got multiple layers of fiberglass then. So coming along, basically just need to finish off the top, and then I'm hoping I'm going to receive a shipment of more epoxy, so I'll do kind of an epoxy paint coat. I had a bit left over, so I started on here. I've found this is really thirsty, so it's going to absorb quite a bit of epoxy. Give it all a bit of a sand. Okay, another video update on restoring the mirror. So I've been just spreading a bit of when I've got leftover epoxy onto this particular panel here, but eventually I'm going to paint the whole thing, and we're damn near at that point in time. So as you can see, I've done this strip all the way over here, completely covered the centerboard case, and then cut out the shape there because previously I'd epoxied that. So we've got 2 layers of fiberglass here, one that goes down into the shaft, and currently gluing the skeg on. Now, this was an interesting process because the buoyancy tank is about here. It means I can't screw up from under anywhere back to the center of the boat. So what I did was put in a bit of a pilot hole once I sort of positioned everything here, and I've screwed up from underneath. And if I show you here, you can see there I've used little bits of ply as blocks just so that the screws don't go all the way through, and did one as close back to there as I could, which would equate to about kind of this point. And then to try and get a bit of downward pressure on there, I was experimenting with all sorts of things. I made these two little jigs here to ensure it stays vertical, and not that it would move that much once the... and I'm actually hanging a set of weights here because I tried to actually tension that, but it just wanted to keep sliding off the boat. I've used the trestles here as a mechanism to stop the rope sliding back, because the boat obviously tapers as it goes to the back, and that's putting enough downward pressure, I hope, on it to keep it pushed down, and that should dry pretty damn quickly. I was actually using the fast hardener mix, and while I was getting this set up, all the remainder, which I was hoping to paint on the hull, went hard in the container. Seems like the bigger the quantity, it sort of holds the heat a little bit and then turns into a bit of a runaway chemical reaction, whereas these bits here, which are thinner and not kind of holding the heat, I guess is what's happening with the chemical reaction there. They haven't dried yet, and in fact they're quite sticky. Whereas the other one was hard as plastic, so that's kind of an interesting learning there. I'd hope to spread that onto the rest of the boat. I've also patched a few of these little areas here, which I just didn't like the look of, where there was nails or screws that had gone through into the kind of wooden supports underneath the floor. This just means it'll be a little bit stronger, and if there's any movement or something like that, it's not going to bust through the paint, hopefully. And I'll sand those smooth and sort of fair that before painting everything. So next step is to put a bit of tape down on the sides here after filleting it further, and then to give everything a bit of a coat of epoxy just to seal it up. I'll then sand fair where I need to around this these tape, which is sort of all over the boat, and then get into putting on some primer. Okay, another quick update. So this morning I filleted the skeg here and let that sort of harden up just a little bit, and then came back and I've put on a couple of layers of tape there, as you can see, that are overlapping in places, so that should be very strong. What I'll probably do is maybe epoxy, fiberglass over the top, and or put a little bit of a strip of metal just so that that doesn't take a beating as it comes into shore and that sort of stuff. I see some of the mirrors, they actually have a strip of timber that goes all the way down the middle, but I think I might just do that on my skeg. I've just epoxied this side here as it was basically ready. It's sort of really soaked that up, and that's going to plasticise the timber. You can see how thirsty it is sort of looking down here. So there's the front where I did some, and here where it's a little bit cracked, it's just soaked that right up. So I might even do that part again. This is still pretty tightly grained and seems, well, it was a bit discoloured by the weather. It's still quite, the ply is still holding together very well. I've also clamped on the sides here after getting, again, some thickened epoxy down in the gap there. That'll resolve the problem there. So both the what do they call them, innels and the gunnels are coming away in places, so I'll just see if I can fix those. And then this last little bit here, I'll work out where to cut that off, and we'll just replace the front part of that. Now, what I've decided, I've bought my primer here. Now this is basically an epoxy. It's a two-part epoxy for above, below water. This pretty much, is the same as doing this here. So around this side, where the original coating of polyester, anyway, the original coating of stuff on there was still pretty damn good. I'm just going to rough that up, and I won't epoxy all over that. I'll just use the two-part primer, a couple of coats of that, and at least after sanding these kind of little repair patches I've done here, or strengthening patches over the nails and things. So this side, I reckon all it needs is that, because you can see here where I did put the tape on, it's pretty much just sitting on the surface, it's not soaking in. So, and this is in really good condition. I guess it was undercover, but that was the side that was getting all of the weather and that sort of thing. So I think the next step is to wait for all this stuff to harden. We'll give it a bit of a sanding. That seems to be a bit of a drip there. We'll give it a bit of a sanding all over, and maybe sand this area here, because I think it could probably, again, there's some areas where it's touch and go as to whether I need to remove the original coating on there. I'll probably, anywhere I can get a fingernail under it, I'll take it off. But it's pretty damn strong. But I'll see how we go. This is the side I probably need to continue sanding and have a really good look at. But we're making great progress.